Oh boy. Last chapter! I do not like the sight of all that blood on my beam. Excuse me? Excuse me? Well, now I'm worried. December 1867. As the order to begin imperial restoration came, Satsuma and Choshu troops started occupying the city of Kyoto. At the same time, members and affiliates of the Tokugawa shogunate were being removed from the imperial palace, and eventually Kyoto altogether. They, as expected, did not take this lightly. In response, the shogunate's military forces were beginning to march from Edo to Kyoto. As tensions rose from the approaching shogunate armies, the Satsuma and Choshu were preparing their own forces for a hostile confrontation. The situation was growing increasingly frenzied. As the shogunate scrambled to call upon their remaining allies, the Shinsengumi received an order to come to the Fushimi magistrate. Having all of their men and armaments gathered in, the Fushimi magistrate enabled the shogunate to act in the event of an emergency, so off we went. On one such day, during the commotion... Yes? I'm concerned about that picture still. Hey! Bad news, guys! The chief's been attacked! Bad news was delivered to the Fushimi magistrate. There had been no witnesses, and the culprit escaped unseen. Their motives could only be guessed.
What the hell? Who the hell could have shot him? Let's go! Anyone who's free, come with me!
Nagakura got a crew of warriors together, and they all headed towards the location where Kondo was shot. We're moving through this rather rapidly. Kondo's gunshot wound was on his right shoulder. The bullet pierced clean through him, shattering the bone, which required more treatment than I could have given him at the compounds. I was sweeping up the common room when... Sana? Yes?
Oh, Yukimura. Are you still awake at this hour?
Oh, Sanan. Did you have any business here? If you're going to use this room, I'll leave.
Oh, I don't mind. Rather, I think it's better that you are here for it.
Huh? His words perplexed me, so I felt a little anxious. Just then. The most prominent Shinsengumi captains began filing into the common room. What were they about to discuss? My anxiety was starting to grow stronger.
Seems like everyone's here.
I don't see Okita.
He doesn't need to hear this. If Soji gets involved, he wouldn't think twice about his safety, and he'll go straight for vengeance for Kondo.
But if that is what he desires, why wouldn't you let him do so? As usual, you're too kind, Hijikata.
So, what do you want from us? There's no telling when war will finally erupt, and for us to gather here right now, don't tell me.
It is exactly as you are thinking. I asked you all to gather here today with the intention of giving something to you.
In his hands was an object wrapped in a fine cloth that he slowly unwrapped before all of us. As I saw what was inside of his hands, I gasped and clasped my hands over my mouth.
The water of life?
Exactly. As captains of the Shinsengumi, we all took on the risks of researching this serum. As such, it is necessary for us to take responsibility for this experiment. Especially if, like Kondo, any one of you becomes injured or maimed to the point you cannot fight. Or in the worst case, there is a possibility that your life is gravely threatened. I know for certain that this serum will be of use to you.
Sanan, are you trying to experiment on us too now?
I know what you're thinking, but under the current circumstances, we cannot afford to lose any more captains.
Screw that! I don't want to depend on that crap just to survive.
Nagakura barked his indignation to Sanan's proposal, and he stormed off.
Perhaps we can call it a good luck charm. Personally, I pray that it shall never come to any of us drinking this serum.
Inoue spoke softly as his fingers pinched the vial and held it close to his eyes.
I will borrow this. Well, I don't think I'll ever use it, but I'll hold on to it, just in case, of course.
Both Saito and Harada grabbed a vial and they slipped it into their respective pockets.
Hijikata?
Up until now, Hijikata had crossed his arms and silently observed Sanon's speech.
We gotta take responsibility, huh? Well, you're onto something.
His eyes looked troubled, but he reached for the serum and slipped it into his pocket as well.
Well, I believe that does it for tonight. I just pray that my courtesy will not go to waste.
After Sanon had finished, the captains all bowed and left the room, and Sanon turned towards me.
Yukimura, I am certain you are aware of this. But do not let word of tonight get out to any other warrior. Do I make myself clear?
Timidly, I nodded my head, and Sanon waited for a second before nodding silently and leaving the room. What could I do? The serum created by my father was now in the hands of the captains. I shuddered at the thought of them drinking it. I wonder if our bean will.
We still haven't figured out who attacked the chief. I'll bet you anything it's those bastards from that Satsuma Choshu alliance.
Ever since the attack on Kondo, the atmosphere at the Fushimi Magistrate's office had been tense, to say the least. I felt it increase as I stepped into the meeting room carrying tea for the captains. Here's your tea.
Oh, thanks. Could you just leave it here?
I seemed to have walked in on a serious discussion. All around the room were tense, drawn faces.
So what's your plan? The Satsuma Choshu alliance wants power in the court, but they're also hoping the Emperor grants them all of the Shogunate's assets and holdings. There's no other way to look at it. They're trying to start a war. We'd be smart to start preparing for one. You have a point. They've been sucking up to the Emperor, and they come and go at the palace like they own the place. Now, so far as preparing for war, Sanon has been pushing hard to augment the Fury Corps.
A memory of the other day came back to me. Sanon offered the water of life to all the captains, and they accepted it.
I'm against that. This is war, not subduing the odd Ronin. There are going to be enemies and allies everywhere in battle. I don't think we'll be able to control them. They're powerful, but it's too risky. Agreed. Besides, it's inhumane. Then what do you suggest? If you wish to disapprove, you should offer an alternate path. We're working on that. If it was so easy to come up with a solution, you really think we'd be in this mess? What's your take on this, Commander?
Hijikata furrowed his brow and frowned.
Let me think about it. We need to see what the Satsuma and Choshu are going to do, and we have to consider what the Shogunate wants.
Kondo's injury had put everyone on edge, especially with the war inching closer day by day. What was going to become of the Shinsengumi, as well as the Fury Corps? December 20th, 1867. It was decided that Kondo and Okita were to be moved to Osaka, where Dr. Matsumoto was. Kondo had required serious surgery and treatment, while Okita needed to treat his tuberculosis. Only a few people had caught on to Okita's condition initially, but when it came time for him to leave, it was as if a dark cloud hovered over all of us. The departure of those two leaders brought solemnity and sadness to us all. It brought sadness to us all. Saito for sore eyes. Well done. They saw the opportunity and they seized it. Well, thanks. I was feeling sad and then that achievement popped up and now I feel a little bit better. January 3rd, 1868. I was busying myself in the compound around the time the men began to return from their patrols.
Hey, we're back. Looks like Kyoto's winters are as rough as ever.
Oh, welcome back, guys.
I'm getting real tired of those Satsuma bastards. We ought to be sitting in a nice warm room getting drunk, not out there stamping out fires. You know, I haven't even gotten any zoni this year.
He continued muttering angrily to himself as he pulled off his coat and hung it up.
Oh, Nagakura, you haven't stopped talking about zoni once all day.
Well, can you think of anything better to do during New Year's than eat mochi and sleep? Or maybe... do you think Satsuma doesn't celebrate New Year's?
How was it out there?
There are no serious problems for now.
I see. Sayato's reassurances allowed me to relax, if only a little. I had no idea what might happen in the days to come, but I thought it would be nice to at least enjoy the New Year's festivities in peace. So much for that. I'd just let out a small sigh of relief when a noise like a small thunderclap sounded from somewhere outside the compound.
That was gunfire, wasn't it?
The earlier good humor evaporated, and every face in the room turned toward the source of the sound, tense and serious.
So it's finally started, huh?
That gunshot was the beginning of what would later become known as the Battle of Toba Fushimi. We later learned that the Satsuma had opened fire on Shogunate soldiers attempting to enter Kyoto, but at the time we heard it, we knew nothing.
Who do you think fired that shot? I should go out there. Calm down. We won't do anything until the commander returns. Understood? Fine, but someone needs to tell the rest of the men. Might as well be me, unless...
Saito nodded and Harada ran off. Within moments, the atmosphere in the magistrate's office changed. What should I do?
Well, you should probably...
Then it happened. Ah! A deafening explosion tore through the air, and the building itself shook. It was no gunshot this time.
What the hell was that? It wasn't an earthquake, was it? No, couldn't have been. But... that means...
Saito and Nagakura looked at one another, then ran off out the door of the building.
So what's going on? What the hell?
I could hear their voices outside. What was going on? Wow. Ah! A cluster of shots rang out and I jumped. Saito returned, his placid face even more stern than usual. Oh! Saito! What's going on?
There's a cannon in the Ryun temple. It has to be the Satsuma.
A temple located atop a mountain to the northeast of the Fushimi Magistrate's office. A cannon? No! Ah! The wall shook again as the cannon's thunderous rapport tore through the air.
Damn it! If this keeps up, we're toast!
He swore in frustration.
Can't we just go over there and take their cannon, Shinpachi? Maybe, but it'll be tough. They've got a lot of small firearms, too.
Ah! Isn't there some way we can make them stop shooting at us? I mean, couldn't we shoot back at them with a cannon or something? It was a foolish idea, and I knew it, but I felt so useless just standing around and screaming. I had to do something.
We do have a cannon, yes.
Well, then can't we just shoot at them?
Yes, but it won't be very effective.
Why not?
They've set themselves up on the high ground.
It's over! They have the high ground!
If we fire from down here, we'd be lucky to reach them. Besides, Ryun is surrounded by forest. The trees are a natural shield.
Oh no. Then, there was nothing we could do? We just had to sit here and let them attack us? Yes? That was when Shimada ran in.
We're in trouble! The Satsuma are trying to surround the magistrate's office.
Saito sucked at his teeth, and I could see his mind working furiously, searching for a solution.
Building's taken a lot of punishment. They keep this bombardment up and it's all coming down.
Hijikata appeared, short of breath and wearing his head guard and Shinsengumi uniform. A simple piece of armor to protect the head. It is a sheet of metal attached to a cloth headband. Oh, that's what, Amagiri broke of Heisuke's, I believe. Hijikata!
Kondo put me in charge when he left, and I think he wanted us to still be around when he came back. We're going on the counterattack.
His words sent the magistrate's office into a frenzy.
Finally! It's about goddamn time! I've been getting real tired of just sitting around while they shoot at us. Hard to feel like a man that way. Alright, what's the plan? We gonna shoot him with our cannon? No point shooting from here. We're gonna have to take it up to the front line. We get lucky, maybe we can take their cannon while we're at it. That's more like it. Let's do this! Those Satsuma punks better watch out!
They all seemed more than ready to fight, but something still worried me. My bean. Saito? How many men do they have? If you can take their cannon, will we win?
Our side has nearly 15,000 men. From what I understand, the Satsuma and Choshu have only a third of that at most.
Then we can't lose, right? Saito's mouth thinned to a tight line, and he looked at me for a moment before he answered.
One cannot always achieve victory through force of arms.
I was about to ask him what he meant when Hijikata began to call out orders.
Don't let those honorless bastards out there put even a foot inside this building. Stay calm and we can beat them. Gen, you'll stay here. I'll be taking the rest of our men and going after their headquarters.
No problem, Toshi. You just leave it to me.
He nodded and trotted off toward the entrance.
Our best intelligence puts the enemy headquarters at Gokunomiya Shrine.
A shrine to the northeast of the Fushimi Magistrate's office.
Unfortunately, between us and them is a big hill, and they've got a bunch of guns dug in on the top of it. They'll pick us off as we climb up. There's only one way we're breaking through.
Hijikata's voice trailed off, but all the men around to understand what that silence implied. If they were to win, they would have to thrust their forces into the heart of the enemy encampment, and that would mean running straight into a line of gunfire. The men who left to go on the attack would be facing a good deal more danger than those left at the magistrate's office. There was a moment of silence before Nagakura fixed Hijikata with a confident look and spoke.
Sure thing, Commander. I can take care of that. Are you sure, Shinpachi? Well, someone's gotta do it, right? Might as well be me. It's better than sitting around here and getting pounded, at least.
He gave Hijikata a grin, then turned to his men in the 2nd Division.
Sorry, guys. But it looks like your captain just volunteered to get us all shot to hell. But hey, at least we'll go off to the next life together. What are you apologizing for, Captain Nagakura? I'm a samurai. I'm always prepared to give my life for victory.
Saito looked up as Shimada spoke. Was something wrong? I thought perhaps he looked as if he wanted to say something, but it could have just as easily been my imagination. Maybe he's remembering what they overheard us talking about the other day. Alright, the 2nd Division will be leading our main thrust against their encampment. I want you to attack Gokunomiya Shrine. No sweat, you just leave that to us. It'll take more than a couple Satsuma bullets to kill Shinpachi Nagakura. Well, when you go in, the 10th Division will be there to support you, so don't worry about your flank, alright? We're off, then. With grins and more playful banter, Nagakura, Shimada, and Harada sauntered outside and out of sight. The roles they were playing were very dangerous, and they were really risking their lives. But neither Nagakura nor Shimada showed a sign of fear. I'd always wondered, how could they go in with such bravery? I saw a muscle in Hijikata's jaw twitch as he watched them go. Then he turned toward the rest of us.
Saito, take your men and head for Ryun Temple. We're screwed unless you can silence that cannon. Understood.
His voice was as flat and measured as ever. Whatever he might be thinking, it was impossible for me to guess. Hijikata, what should I do? I tried asking Hijikata, but Saito interrupted.
Stay here. There's no guarantee you'll come out of this alive if you follow us into battle.
Oh. He wants you to be safe. He turned on his heel without so much as a goodbye and headed for Ryun Temple. It wasn't going to be an easy fight. Would they even return alive? This was the first time the Shinsengumi had fought such a large force, as well as the first time they'd faced guns and cannons. I believed in their skill, but I couldn't help feeling a certain amount of trepidation. With little else to do, I fell to praying for their safety and lost myself in my worries. I don't know how much time had passed. I felt a hand on my shoulder. Hi, Inoue.
Are you all right, Yukimura? You look down.
Oh, Inoue.
Are you worried?
Yes. I know they're soldiers. They've been in danger before, but... this is different. There's all those guns out there, and a cannon. I'm scared some of them might not come back.
You don't need to worry. They'll be back.
You really think so?
I know so. A samurai never goes back on his word, no matter what happens. Nagakura and Shimada knew that when they volunteered for this mission. That sort of honor is a rare thing these days, but they have it. So does Saito. A samurai. No, a man would never do anything to make a girl sad, and those men are true samurai. Trust them to make it back to you. You don't need to worry about them.
His words helped to calm my doubts. Thanks, Dad, number 2. It was natural of me to worry, but I had forgotten they were all talented, intelligent men, capable of forging their own destinies, not frightened boys sent off to war and subject to the whims of fate. Courage in the face of death was a true samurai's greatest asset, and they had courage aplenty. You're right. I believe in them. They'll come back safely. The words were only just out of my mouth when Yamazaki ran into the magistrate's office, his face drawn.
Is something wrong, Yamazaki?
The men they've got guarding their headquarters are all armed with rifles. We'd have gotten shot before we even got close. There was nothing we could do.
I see. That's not good. If most of their forces are riflemen, then they should have trouble aiming after the sun sets.
After the sun sets? Do you mean... He nodded solemnly.
We're going to have to deploy the Fury Corps.
And it does look like that's our only choice.
We need to tell Sanon and Todo. Yamazaki, please come with me.
Yes, sir.
Sometime later, the Fury Corps moved out under Sanon's command. They did have strength far beyond any humans. Perhaps they would be able to turn the tables. So, why don't I feel relieved? Something still felt wrong. This battle was unlike anything I'd experienced before, and my mind was still racing to catch up. I felt as if I was missing something important, but... what? A gunshot sounded from the entrance. Our men would have had no reason to fire, which means it had to be...
The main body of the Shinsengumi has gone off to fight somewhere else. The commander says now's our chance to attack the magistrate's office. Let's go!
Ah! Crap. Screwed. We're screwed. You know you're screwed when Yamazaki's eyes look like that. Only moments after the soldier's voice reached me, Yamazaki ran into the room, his eyes wide.
In a way, we have to do something. If we could get just one division to come back.
But who can go fetch them? We can't leave the magistrate's office unguarded.
I'll go. You can...
Inoue shook his head.
No, I can't let you go. I hate to admit it, but I can't hold them off on my own.
That's... true, but...
Yamazaki frowned and began pacing back and forth.
Gah!
Once again, the deafening thunder of the cannon shook the magistrate's office. If the bombardment continued, we were surely done for. I'll do it! I'll deliver the message! I will take the ring to Mordor!
No, it's too dangerous.
I know I'm no good in a fight. I mean, I can barely protect myself, and it'd be difficult for me to take down a warrior from the Satsuma or Choshu, but I think I could probably make it to Goku no Miya Ryun Temple without being discovered. And I was a demon after all. If I was wounded, it would heal quickly. In fact, I could probably take 1 or 2 bullets and not die. There's my girl. If one of you leaves, then we won't have any hope of mounting a defense when the Satsuma attack. But if I go, you'll still be at full strength. I wouldn't be fighting anyway, even if I did stay here.
That's true. There's no one else we can afford to send away.
Inoue seemed torn, but it took him only moments to make up his mind. He wasn't happy about it, but we all knew there was no time to waste.
Very well. Go then.
Right!
Goku no Miya will be too dangerous, though. Head for Ryun Temple and try to find Saito. I want you to explain the situation to him and ask him to return immediately. Got that?
Yes, sir!
We'll try and draw the attention of the Satsuma nearby. You should be able to slip out the back.
Right. Thank you. Turns out, even Chizuru can have the courage of a samurai.
If we can take this place, the Shinsengumi's dead. Let's go!
They won't get a single man in here. We'll see to that.
A gun's useless if it can't hit anything. Let's see how they handle some real fighting.
I said a silent prayer of thanks and protection for Inoue and Yamazaki and ran for the back door. Hero time for us. All I need is for Chikage to show up. I ran through the darkened forest, the stars in little light down beneath the canopy. The night was thick and black, and I could barely see, but fear would have to wait. I had no time. I could hear the cannon firing again and again in the darkness. There had to be fighting going on nearby, although I couldn't see it. I hoped fervently that everyone was safe, if I could just make it in time. Oh! I felt someone nearby and slowed to a halt. All around me were men wearing the blue jackets of the Shinsengumi, grimacing in pain. It wasn't just a few of them. They'd gathered together in groups, spread out through this part of the forest. At the center... Saito stood, sword in hand, his chest heaving. What was going on? I'd never before seen him so... tired. Man, did you have to show up now? Darn it all, these darn demons. Their timing is impeccable.
Intriguing. Your skill is impressive. You are only human, and yet you can hold your own against a demon.
Beyond Saito stood Amagiri, the demon. Oh. I stepped back and a twig snapped beneath my foot. Slowly, deliberately, Amagiri's gaze turned toward me.
You... What are you doing here? Have you stayed with these men even as Kyoto turns into a battlefield?
I chose to ignore Amagiri and turned instead to Saito. Saito, there's trouble! The Satsuma are attacking the Fushimi Magistrate's office!
What?
You have to call off the attack on the Ryun Temple and rush back to the Magistrate's office right away!
I see.
He inclined his head slightly in acknowledgement, then turned back to Amagiri, his eyes blue slits.
No time to waste, then.
The moment the last word was out of his mouth, he leapt forward with tremendous speed, and his sword flickered through the air, heading straight for Amagiri. At first, I didn't believe what I was seeing. Amagiri had caught the incoming blade with his bare hands and flung it aside. Then in the same movement, he made to chop his hand into Saito's unguarded side.
No.
He deflected Amagiri's blow with his left arm and struck again with his sword.
Go.
He dodged to the side, avoiding the sword thrust, but Saito took that split-second opening to launch another attack, driving Amagiri back. Saito's amazing. His steel shimmered in the night, leaping through the air and snaking its way through Amagiri's defenses to strike at his vitals. Do I click? I guess so. Eek.
Finish him. Go!
The very tip of Saito's sword slid across Amagiri's cheek, and a thin line of blood trickled down his face. Impressive. Go Saito.
Intriguing. I thought I understood fully that you were an able man. But nonetheless, this is surprising. I'd never thought a human would be able to hold his own against me. You are a warrior of legendary skill, Saito. I doubt there are many demons who could fight toe-to-toe with you.
You overestimate me. I am merely a samurai and one of little note. He paused a moment to wipe sweat beading off of his forehead.
Unfortunately, though your skill is impressive, your strength is still only human. I shall show you just how limited you are by your mortal shell. Ugh!
What I saw then I could scarcely believe. Ah, we got Demon Amagiri. On Amagiri's forehead, horns appeared. Great white things, like what you might see in old books or paintings. His hair turned white, like that of a fury, and his eyes began to glow with a strange, otherworldly light. When he spoke, his voice rumbled with a terrible power.
Never before have I shown this, my true self, to a human. But you, Saito, are a human opponent I can respect. You deserve, nay, demand, that I fight you with everything at my disposal.
Oh no. Then he leapt towards Saito like a bullet from a gun, closing the distance between them in the blink of an eye. He was far, far faster than he had been a moment before.
Gah!
Saito did his best to keep up with Amagiri's blows, but he seemed slower now. No, Saito wasn't slower. Amagiri was just too fast for him.
Is this really the most a human can manage?
He sounded almost disappointed.
Gah!
Saito cried out as Amagiri struck his left arm. Saito! I was about to run up to him.
Stay away! Yukimura, did you forget that you are the one they are after? If I allow this man to take you away, then I will have failed my duty.
Oh.
Very admirable. Must be that important if you're thinking of your boss's orders in a time like this. Then I guess it'd be a real jerk move of me to go easy on you.
Amagiri kicked the ground.
Damn you!
Saito tried to swing with one more decisive blow as Amagiri charged towards him, but... Even so, Amagiri saw right through him. Then suddenly, before Saito could block, he threw an iron fist punch into him. Oh, that sounded bad.
Gah!
He ground his teeth and sweat dripped down his forehead. The pain he was feeling had to be incredible. Had Amagiri's blow broken his arm? But he ran toward Amagiri, his sword held high and defiance burning in his eyes.
Reckless.
He batted Saito's attacks aside one after another as calmly as if he were waving away flies. Saito was in bad shape. He looked tired, and though he had managed to ignore the pain, his arms still clearly hurt him. If he didn't gain the upper hand, and quickly, he'd lose to his own fatigue. Dude, you're gonna die. Don't die. We talked about this earlier. Saito, we have to retreat!
Retreat?
He frowned. Although he was a man of few words, Saito took things such as missions and orders very seriously. To him, a retreat would be an incredible disgrace. But you have to live, man. But they're waiting for you to come back. I know you don't want to, but you have to retreat. If you keep fighting here, then what will happen to Inoue and Yamazaki? Those words seemed to hit the mark. Saito stopped and then slowly lowered his sword, his breathing heavy. Hooray, we got through to him. Thank goodness.
I understand. What is needed of me now is not to kill this man, but to protect the Shinsengumi.
That's right.
My apologies.
His voice was quiet. Who are you guys? Why are you always getting in the way of the Shinsengumi?
I believe in the past I had already told you that we are members of a demon clan. How much of the history of demons do you know?
What?
Long before humans began living in Japan, there were the demon clans across the country.
I love that they were just... He was almost killing Saito, and now he's like, let me tell you about the past.
However, as humans started taking over, we were driven out of our villages and pushed into hiding throughout the various mountains.
Sen had told me something about this before. The demon clan asked time and time again for aid from the dominion of man, and time again men turned them down.
Chikage Kazuma, the head of the Kazuma family, is attempting to use this most recent commotion in the human world. He wants to reunite the fractured clans. He wants to return this country to the rule of demons.
No!
And you share his intentions and desires.
Amagiri shook his head.
I see nothing wrong with remaining hidden from the world. I have no wish to leave my mark on history, and would much rather live in peace. The Satsuma domain commands my loyalty and skill only as a repayment for debts incurred in the aftermath of Sekigahara, nothing more.
The battle in which the Eastern Army, led by Ieyasu Takagawa, defeated the Western Army, led by Mitsunari Ishida. The ultimate result of this battle was the rise of the Takagawa Shogunate.
In truth, I care little for Kondo and Kazuma's designs.
What? What does my father have to do with any of this? Don't tell me father is like Kazuma. Did he really want to create a world of demons just like Kazuma? That's interesting.
Is that all? I'm not interested in letting you buy any more time. If you have something to say, say it.
His eyes had narrowed to angry slits. He smiled. And he's normal again.
Out of respect for your skill, I will let you leave.
With a small shudder, Amagiri's horns disappeared and his hair changed back to its normal human color.
What? I don't approve of Kazuma's selfish machinations, and I pity the woman he intends to use to see his plans come to fruition.
Thank you. I wasn't sure what to think of Amagiri, but I think I like him. It didn't seem that his intention was to be kind to us, and yet he was allowing Saito and his men and myself to leave. At the very least, it seemed he had some sense of justice. True.
Then it seems this fight is over. Yukimura, were there any men among the injured unable to walk?
No, I don't think so.
Then we make for the magistrate's office. come with me.
Right. We had just turned to leave when he spoke one last time.
Kazuma is far stronger than me. You cannot possibly defeat him. A human will never be able to protect her from him. You should leave her.
And with that, he disappeared into the night like silent mist. Some good advice, truth be told. Saito stood stock still for several moments, where Amagiri had disappeared, his gaze fierce. Come on, Saito. We need to go. He didn't seem to hear me. Saito? Are you alright? Did you get hurt?
How could a man with no weapon?
Huh? His voice was so quiet I could barely hear him. After several more seconds of silence, he slowly raised his head.
It's nothing. We should return to the magistrate's office. As you said, there is no time to waste.
Right! What had Saito been thinking about? Was he really alright? Pensive silence was nothing new for him, but I'd felt something different from him this time. Frustration, perhaps. Understandable. As we ran back, the rustling of leaves resounded through the night streets.
Stop.
When we'd reached the hill, Saito stopped suddenly in his tracks. What's the matter? Why? What are we doing right now? He watched as, below the hill, the town of Fushimi was within eye distance from the top, and it was lit ablaze with a roaring flame. Okay, because usually when this music shows up, it's Chikage showing up.
Is that the Fushimi magistrate?
I gasped at the sight. No! The Shinsengumi were protecting the magistrate. But now it was on fire? Inoue and Yamazaki were there.
Did the Satsuma and Choshu men do this? Or was it our own men as they retreated?
I could see a color of bitterness in Saito's eyes? For the well-being of his comrades? Something got lost. If the Fushimi magistrate were to fall, then it would mean the Shinsengumi were now driven from the town they spent 4 years protecting. For Saito, a man who always held his duty to the Shinsengumi above all else, this must have been the most regrettable feeling. I guess that's one way to describe it. I struggled to find meaningful words to say, so instead I just hung my head low.
It doesn't mean we have lost yet. As long as the Shogunate and Shinsengumi are alive, and for as long as I am a warrior, we shall certainly cross swords again. Next time.
His expression warped, and I could swear that I could hear his teeth grinding. Saito took one last look down at the burning scenery of Fushimi below. Then
Yukimura, we're going to head to Osaka Castle. The Supreme Commander, Lord Yoshinobu, Dr. Matsumoto, Chief Kondo, and Soji will be there. I can only assume the commander, as well as our other men, will be there too. Follow me. Be sure not to fall behind.
all right. Saito and I led the rest of his men towards Osaka Castle.